101.1 and AM 1160 WCCS and at WCCSradio.com.
This morning's Indiana in the Morning segment with the Conservative Energy Network is brought to you by Sunnyfield Renewable Energy. Energy matters. Let's talk.
And it is Indiana in the Morning here on WCCS on a Thursday morning. And I'm going to press a couple of buttons here. And magically, these guys should both be hooked in together. Let's find out if it actually works. Sometimes it doesn't. So we'll press the button and find out live in person all together at one time. There should be Carolyn. There should be Justin. And let's find out if they are both there with us. Good morning. Justin, you there? Uh-oh, no Justin. Carolyn, are you there?
I am here.
Well, Carolyn's here. Justin, we're having a difficult time with here, but we'll see what we can't do to maybe get that fixed back up. Still no Justin, right? All right, we'll pop Justin down off of the board, and maybe he can call us back and get back in touch with us. But Carolyn, let's start with you because this is really interesting as we talk about energy and faith today. Carolyn is with the Evangelical Environmental Network, Associate Director of the Pennsylvania Policy Panel for EEN, and we're going to be discussing faith and energy, and we're going to tie it all into the environment. Carolyn, there are a lot of people that would say that those don't always come together, and how do they?
No, and I actually hear this quite a bit in my line of work, but I think they actually go together quite well. I mean, if you open the Bible, it's in chapter 1, Genesis, caring for God, the garden, and caring for God's creation. But also just as you continue to read through the Bible, to be good stewards, better neighbors, to care for the weak and the fatherless and the needy. So there's so many different references within the Bible where we should be caring about each other and our environment. And it's not to say that energy isn't important and that, we need energy and all forms of energy, but we also need to make sure that we're being responsible with our development.
Yeah, we were trying to hook you back up with Justin there, but again, the line wasn't going to work for us. So let's give it one more shot here with Justin.
Okay.
Justin, are you there? Justin? No. So unfortunately, the Justin aspect of this isn't going to work out as well as we would want it to, but the Carolyn aspect is working just fine. Carolyn, when we think about energy and the way it has been produced for many, many years, here, especially in our region, coal has been a big part of that. And this whole idea of environmental issues and coal waste and how we deal with that, and then from the faith angle of it, and the stewards of the earth that we must be, the natural connection is always going to be there. At the same time, it does require us to have a real sense of urgency and responsibility, doesn't it?
It does, and I think the time to act is always now, and it's going to take everyone coming together to find a solution. I've been doing this work for a while now, and I've heard so many different solutions possible. They got policy solutions, even scientific solutions, and I think it's going to take all hands on deck for us to come together and actually solve some of these really critical issues, especially during an energy crisis where, we need to reach that energy demand reliably, and also accessibility is important while also dealing with affordability.
All right, Carolyn, we do have Justin on the line, and since the conference isn't going to work for us, what we're going to do is we're going to do it by hold. So we're going to put you on hold and bring Justin up, and hopefully then we can hear him and get some of his thoughts as well, okay?
Oh, I love it. Is it a live show if there isn't some type of technical difficulty, right?
You're right. I think that's in the Bible, too.
Right.
All right, let's give it a shot here with Justin. First, we'll put Carolyn on hold. And there she goes. And so Justin is not coming up for us. Justin, you there? No. I thought that we might be able to do that. Let's try this. Put Carolyn on hold here and then bring her back. And, well, Carolyn, at least we still have you.
I am still here. I am. For better or for worse, I'm not sure, but I am still here.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that. So let's visit a little bit more about this,
Right.
About what it is that we are responsible to do, and how it is that we are to responsibly care for the resources that we have, and at the same time meet the modern demands that we have. From a spiritual standpoint, it just seems to make a perfect sense.
Right, and I think it's very important to acknowledge that everyone has a voice, and we all have different ways of being a part of one body of Christ, and we all have different purposes in that one body of Christ. One of my favorite chapters is Romans 12 and the breakdown of it, and also just showing that we all have different functions. So actually, EEN has Summer of Action coming up, so if you do want to go online and check out our website at creationcare.org, you can actually even sign up for some of these webinars. I think our kickoff is at the end of May, but we do these breakdowns and webinars with different people on staff across the country that break down how to write or how to go into meet policymakers. Or we've even done more creative options recently with some of our young evangelicals up in Michigan, where they even performed a play telling the story of creation care through the retelling of The Tempest. So there's so many creative ways that people can tell their story, and people want to hear that. And I feel like that's what is going to give this solution and finding actual answers color. Everyone has their purpose, right? Mm-hmm. And we want to help them find out, hey, is your voice going to help take this into the next solution stage where we don't have to worry about energy, and instead we can put that money toward medication and food that our children need.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's try this one more time with Justin. We'll put Carolyn.
Awesome.
We'll put Carolyn back down here. We're doing experimental radio here this morning, so we'll put Carolyn there and put her on hold. And this should be Justin coming up to visit with us now. Justin, good morning.
Good morning, sir, and thank you so much for having me. And Carolyn, thank you so much for making yourself available.
Well, it's Carolyn has been really carrying the ball here for us during this segment, and we've been talking a lot about responsibility and about care for the environmental resources that we have, and how it really is something that people of faith can embrace. And I know you feel that way as well, Justin. When we're talking about energy solutions, it doesn't have to be an exclusive, these are our human needs and these are our spiritual needs.
And that's just it. The spiritual need of us all is fulfilled by the sun every day, giving us radiation that empowers our lives, whether we're talking energetically through solar, or we're talking making plants growing for agriculture, or even making the human body feel good with vitamin D.
It's really an exciting prospect to consider the way that the world has been made, and the role that we have been given in it by the Lord, and the fact that as time goes on, technology advances, Spirit doesn't take an aside. We don't step to the side and allow the world to go plowing on through without us. We have to be a part of this solution.
We do, and that's really where empowerment through Spirit and faith brings us to this point of doing what needs done by any means necessary. And at times that means going and having the hard conversations about energy with those that may not be in the belief or the understanding of the potential that solar and the sun brings us through such energetic inputs.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's bring Carolyn back into the conversation as we continue here on Indiana in the Morning. Carolyn, what Justin said, of course, goes right along with what our theme is here this morning, and that is that we can both advance ourselves in terms of technology in the world in which we're living, different as it is from the world of biblical days, because we know that we're still being led by that spiritual concept that was first espoused in the Bible.
Yes, and honestly, it's something that I actually was even thinking about when I was listening to Justin speak is, if you study oil and gas history, you'll notice how many times, oil and gas was on the brink, and humankind came in with this amazing innovation that honestly kind of saved the day last minute, but also kept oil and gas history progressing. And I think that's important to notice that, humans are just brilliant. And especially when we have children or children on the line, we're going to do everything we can biblically, scientifically, morally to get it done, so that way they are left with a better world than what we gave them when we started our life here. So I think it's important that we all come together. We all really use our brains, because I notice every single time I go into a policy meeting where we may not agree 100%, I'm still learning so much, because it doesn't mean that their concerns or their questions don't matter. It just means that we need to really come up with a solution where we all understand and all agree.
Carolyn, tell me about the Evangelical Environmental Network itself.
So we equip, educate, mobilize, and inspire evangelical Christians to better defend children's health through environmental actions. So we like to, talk air pollution and also water, which I'm hoping that we can, do a little bit more work here in the future. But air in itself has been very much, especially here in Pennsylvania, polluted. I mean, we have over 200,000 students going to school within a half-mile radius of oil and gas production. And while oil and gas production is necessary for our economy, it has been and will continue to be, we also need to think about, hey, what are those adverse health risks that have been borne by the more vulnerable populations like our children?
Yeah, absolutely. And the elderly and the children, so many of the issues for the elderly are some of the same issues that children encounter as well. And they all, I guess, would fall under the umbrella term of vulnerable folks. Yes.
And we like to talk about all the vulnerable folks, including the elderly and also the sick and children, and also frontline communities that have sometimes borne some of these health risks a little bit more than others. But also here in Pennsylvania, we have some of the not-so-great statistics, like the asthma capitals of the country, of Allentown and Philadelphia and Pittsburgh and Harrisburg are all on that top 20 list and have been for a long time. So people are struggling to breathe in this state, the elderly and the children both. And I think it's important that we all come to the table to find solutions to, remedy that, but also have energy be reliable and accessible for all.
Absolutely. All right, Carolyn, we're going to thank you for joining us and say goodbye to you, and then we're going to close out the segment with Justin here this morning as we have just a minute left. But I appreciate your visiting with us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and God bless you both.
Carolyn Heckman with us this morning here on Indiana in the Morning. And Justin, what Carolyn says makes a whole bunch of sense to a whole bunch of folks.
It really does. And God bless her. She's a fresh breath of air in this space. Very much needed. Someone to tie together the interfaith operations of what's taking place within the community of faith and then what's taking place within the energy community and tying them together, and even the environmental sense. Carolyn being a frontline advocate, an educator about these matters and why it matters upon the population of Pennsylvania for those that are susceptible regarding youth and elders and those who have health challenges. EEN is that answer and that pragmatic point of discussion to say, hey, we have these concerns that are happening inside of Pennsylvania that are affecting the elderly, the youth, and the sick. Why not take a look at them and try to, I guess, come up with some kind of solution where we can all compromise and have a path forward? And that is so appreciated.
Absolutely. All right. Our thanks to Carolyn Heckman with the Evangelical Environmental Network. Our thanks to Justin Mason, the Director of Programs and Operations for the Conservative Energy Network. Justin, thanks so much. Have a wonderful day today. We'll catch up with you next month.
Todd, thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you next month in studio. I'm tuning in right now from St. Paul, Minnesota in the airport. So just happy to be with you, and thank you so much for all your work, sir.
All right. Have a great day. Bye-bye.